Jets Postgame Live is presented by Audi.
Welcome in to Jets Postgame Live, presented by Audi. Visit your tri-state Audi dealers to get behind the wheel of yours today. Alongside Bart Scott, Willie Colon, and Connor Rodgers, I'm Chelsea Sherrod. The Jets falling to the Pittsburgh Steelers by a score of 37-15. Their fourth straight loss this season, now with a record of 2-5. And guys, there were a lot of issues in this game, but let's just talk about the major changes that the Jets made to try to right this ship. They fire Robert Saleh. They demote Nathaniel Hackett. Todd Downing is now the play caller. They bring in Davante Adams. But clearly, they're still having severe issues with this team. Their fourth straight loss now. What did you see in this loss, Bart? How do they right the ship?
I mean, I don't know if y'all can hear me because I can't hear myself. I'm like, oh, I'm back.
We can hear you, yeah.
The turnovers, it was a turning point. Yeah. 15-6. Aaron Rodgers forces the ball into triple coverage. And they go down, and I believe they score, right? They score before the half. Mm-hmm. And listen, the thing is, they're just throwing up moon balls. I want to see what the players' reactions are going to be. Yeah. I want to see what the players' reactions are going to be, because I'm sure they're bewildered that they go in as good as they were feeling. Davante Adams, new start, a team that has Russell Wilson, a guy that you prefer to go against. And it's not that he just, broke you down. It's like you almost got beat by fundamentals. It's like you got beat by the 2-3. It's like you go play somebody that gets you in the 2-3 zone. And I can't believe I'm losing to the 2-3 zone. And they throwing up 50-50 balls.
Like old man stuff.
Right, yeah, it's like old man stuff.
Yeah, like when you play your dad in hoops one-on-one.
We call it the Mike Tomlin way. Tomlin's their way into a win, and it looks a lot worse than it was. But the Jets, untimely turnovers, ball bounced off Garrett Wilson. Both of the interceptions came off of targets. That was to Garrett Wilson. One is Aaron Rodgers' fault. The other one is his fault. Bouncing off his shoulder pads against a guy who was struggling at defensive back. And then when you allow the Steelers to get ahead, they know how to finish and they know how to close. They know how to take all the air out of the football, and they can just make just these little boring little throws, just enough to get the sticks, right? And then eventually you break down because you get desperate. Somebody goes outlaw and tries to get underneath or rip under, leaves up a big seam, and now you can't stop the run. Right, and then on the defensive side, they know you have to pass the ball. So now it's like those lanes and stuff get really small. They did a great job in keeping T.J. Watt out of the game, but there was a lot of throws that was missed by Aaron Rodgers. And listen, at some point, they got to take ownership of this. And next week, I don't want to hear, Hassan Reddick's coming. Everything is fine now.
Right.
Listen, at some point, they're going to run out of time, and they're going to run out of time, and they're going to look up, and everybody's going to be fired, and everybody's going to be starting all over again. And that's just the reality of it.
For real,
I mean, 2-5 for this team with this much talent is a joke.
Bro, it's wild to think. What's crazy about this is the lack of depth showed up big time, right? When you talk about this team, how they started the year, and they brought on they kept 3 extra defensive linemen because they felt like they lacked the beef up front. And then now you're starting to see some of the guys who haven't played a lot of ball, who haven't played that phone booth type ball, they're starting to lose. They're starting to give up big chunks out there. And on top of that, man, Bart's right. When you look at this roster, if you was to tell somebody that didn't know football, who's a casual fan, that you had Davante Adams, Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, and Tyler Conklin, and Breece Hall on your team, you think it's Super Bowl, right? And so this team, just time after time, it seems like that one small mistake just catapults into a back-breaking mistake. Yep. And
it's a snowball effect.
Correct. And this is a Steelers offensive line that was ranked 30th, right? They're ranked 30th from 32. This ain't the Lions offensive line. This ain't the Niners.
The Eagles.
So right. So we're just not meeting the mark, man.
This is comical, man. I don't even know what to say. It's like just watching this game. It's like Mike Tomlin found a way just to out-fund
But we said it before.
And we're not going to beat ourselves. And let's watch them lose the game.
We said it early. We was like, listen, the Steelers are going to play boring, gritty football. They're going to field goal their way into a win, and then they're going to play
boots and shots.
But yeah, this is what they do. So it's a dub for the Steelers.
It just feels like this Jets team right now, they just feel like a glass house. Yeah. And you're seeing it all crumble. It all started really with the Jermaine Johnson injury, and it just shows the lack of depth on this roster right now, especially they're let's call it what it is. They're a weak team up front, and they've been a weak team up front, and it hasn't changed. And we see it and get on here and talk about schematic changes or different changes or alignment tweaks, and it just doesn't. They're not good enough, right? Like you could just say it with your chest. They're not good enough. And I thought Quinn Williams had his best game of his season. That's it. I didn't think anybody else played well up front at all. Will McDonald had a couple nice pass rush reps, but I'm talking about stopping the run, two-gapping, containing, reading, reacting, and they don't do any of that well.
Tackling.
And tackling. We get on this desk every week, and we say, and week 1, Jordan Mason, backup running back. We didn't know he was going to be the running back. We were like, you got to tackle Christian McCaffrey. Jordan Mason played that night. They didn't tackle him. They don't tackle any running back. Najee Harris, he had 93 yards after contact. I was 111 last week. So we say going into this game, you got to rally to the ball and tackle Najee Harris. They don't tackle him. They don't tackle Jalen Warren. They don't tackle any of the guys after the catch, or the receivers and the tight ends. So we could sit here and we could look at, like you said, this Ferrari-driven offense. Davante Adams, Garrett Wilson, Aaron Rodgers. Right, but it doesn't matter anyway.
But the problem also is if Aaron is not on time with the ball and he throws, there's a miscues because of his lack of mobility. They're shot out of water.
Yeah,
you know
they're limited offensively.
And they did. And to my point is, if he can't extend the plays with his legs, if he can't make things happen within the pocket, those missed throws, those are just downs lost, and they pile up. And so it becomes.
And they're misses.
He's just not accurate. He's not accurate.
Right. He's missing throws.
Right. It's like he's not planting his feet. He's throwing like.
One time,
I know we're used to seeing him doing that.
He looked like a flamingo throwing the ball.
He threw the ball to Breece Hall and looked at Breece Hall like, hey, you're supposed to be there. Like, bro, like, no, you have to see where he is, not a spot.
But the ball going off Garrett Wilson and to Beanie Bishop as another pick is the perfect example of everything's wrong with the Jets right now. Right. Aaron Rodgers missed throws leading up to that. Then he throws one of the best throws of the night, hits Garrett Wilson right in the hands of the chest.
Oh, it should have been a shoulder pad. Hit him in the right shoulder.
I mean, that's the problem with the Jets right now is they are flawed everywhere where something different goes wrong every quarter. Yeah, this quarter we didn't tackle and stop the run. This quarter Aaron missed a throw that could have kept the drive going. This quarter we had a holding penalty that killed the drive. This quarter Garrett Wilson dropped the ball and led to an interception.
Damn near 2 blocked field goals. I mean, 1 blocked field goal.
Special teams is a disaster.
Yeah.
I don't know why they take the ball out of the end zone on kick returns because they get smashed at the 20-yard line every time. They're bad right now. Yeah. Like, they're bad. We're going through every aspect of the 53-man roster, and the coaching's not any good. So they're just bad right now.
What's even worse, I said this last week, there's nobody coming through that door to save you. There was somebody that came through.
Right.
And we didn't get anything out.
And they're going to say something's going to save him next week. They're going to say, oh, Hassan Reddick's here, so now the edges.
For 8 pass rush snaps next week.
But this is what I'm saying, though. Like, you watch the team on the other side without great receivers, and they say, you know what? All we can do is maybe run the football, play action off of it, and take shots and hope we put up a 50-50 ball and our guy catch it or he gets it pass interference.
Right.
And he got both.
They got both of them.
He got both. Caught a one-arm catch. How many times did we throw against their second guy and say, let's go 3-by-1 and let's just throw a fade to our guy and see if our guy did it? Like, I think it was one time to Mike Williams.
Yeah.
But that was a 3rd and short, and they got batted down. It's like, how they the game plan for the Steelers, I swear to God, it looks like something that I had like in my Little League teams when I was coaching my son with the Twin Borough Bears.
The bottom line is it doesn't matter how you win as long as you win.
No, I understand that.
But this is what I'm pointing with the Jets right now. They desperately need to win, not just from stop points, just from a morale standpoint. Because when you look at that sideline, bro, and there's guys
you can't explain this.
They can't explain it. There's guys not making eye contact.
The body language is terrible.
Aaron Rodgers, who's the face of this franchise right now, can't even look at his old guys. So we both played on historic teams. If there's one guy that stands up, it's not the quarterback, it's somebody on that defensive side like, hey, stay in the fight. And all we do is see bad body language, and young guys who haven't played enough to understand that this is a long season. So they're just drinking it up.
But the game was ready to be broken open. They were up 15-6.
Yeah.
And you have a turnover in that moment and allow the Steelers, who was about to get Russell Wilson booed out of the arena, you allowed them to score, and now it's 15-13 instead of maybe going up 18-6, up 12, make them have to do things that they're not comfortable. And then you come back in the 3rd quarter and the interception comes off of the shoulder pad and it's ran back to the 2-yard line.
But pivot back.
That's when the game broke open and it changed the momentum.
But they started that drive with 2 penalties, right?
But they still picked
Garrett had an offsides and then Tyron went offsides. So you talk about momentum, you shoot yourself early.
But they picked that up, though.
I get that, but my point is, I'm talking from a momentum standpoint. Right. You get those happen.
The penalties didn't go away. I don't know how many because I don't have my laptop locked in. How many penalties they had, but the penalties didn't go down dramatically. They still had penalties. They had 5. So, I mean, listen, I'm at the point now where I'm at the watch and see moment, right? I can't predict because predicting, I'm just getting caught my foot in my mouth, right? I'm like, oh, man, there's no way they lose to the Steelers. Steelers can't threaten them. 37 points.
Yep.
The Steelers, that offense, 37 points.
And 409 total yards.
That's insane.
From the Steelers.
It's the lack of pride from the defense is what shocks me. The offense has its whole cast of problems, but this defense has had a lot of pride the last 2 years, no matter what they were dealing with on the other side of the ball. And we got on this desk and gave them so much credit week after week for just toughing it out. And I don't know where went wrong this year. They have no pride.
I'm going to tell you,
right
and
now.
I know we got to go to Chelsea. They're yelling in our ear. This is where you miss Robert Saleh. Because what Robert Saleh did on the sideline, his emotional, spirited energy kept that defense alive, along with Ulbrich, right? So now you don't have Robert Saleh running up and down. I've seen Robert Saleh time after time, after a bad turnover, run out to his defense, stay in it. We're okay. Grabbing young guys, keeping them in the game. They don't have that right now. So now you're looking at this team that didn't have DJ Reed, multiple injuries. Quentin Williams has played his best game, but still wasn't that a big factor. They don't have a pass rush. C.J. Mosley's coming off injury. They are losing. This is a sinking ship.
Spiraling.
And so you don't have somebody at least putting fire in the coal, at least from Robert Saleh from a momentum standpoint. I mean, Coach Tomlin, right? His guys going down, he's snatching headphones, he's grabbing guys. So when you don't have that emotional leader and you're in a dogfight right now, this is what you get.
Yeah.
I think that's a good point because guys don't look engaged. They look checked out at this point.
They look bewildered because they
lost.
They don't have answers.
Right.
Like, it ain't working, Coach. What's going on?
Well, we're going to have some answers coming up. We're just getting started here on Jets Postgame Live. When we come back, we will hear from interim head coach Jeff Ulbrich after the Jets 37 to 15 loss to the Steelers. We'll be right back.
Jets Postgame Live is presented by Audi. Visit your tri-state Audi dealer to get behind the wheel of yours today, or visit AudiOffers.com for more information.
Welcome back into Jets Postgame Live. The Jets falling to the Steelers by a score of 37 to 15, their fourth straight loss of the season. And guys, I just want to talk a little bit more about Aaron Rodgers and the issues that he had in this game. Extremely uncharacteristic. What did you see, Bart, from Rodgers in this one? It just seemed like he was missing easy throws. There was a lot of miscommunication.
I mean, I guess if you get to mechanics of it. It's just like his mechanics look soft. He's throwing off platform. He's throwing and his feet's not set. He's not stepping into it. I know Tyron was in a battle over there. It seemed like it was pressure all the time. They did a great job taking care of. They did a great job in taking care of Watt. But, man, it's just like his mechanics. It seems like he's throwing off balance. It always seems like he's jumping back like he's not secure. He's not stepping in, square mechanics, arm over, and all that type of stuff.
No rhythm.
It's like he's skipping the ball, angles and stuff like that. And he's the one to Breece to the right side. And he looked at Breece like, yo, I'm right here.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think that is, though?
I mean, I think, this is when, like, Nathaniel Hackett, the quarterback's coach, has to go back and say, hey, man, we need to be more fundamentally sound. We need to be, your mechanics get off. It's just like we just watched the Mets lose tonight, right? And sometimes when you're getting hit, it's your mechanics, the pitcher, your mechanics. Same thing with a quarterback. He has to try and get his mechanics back because he's throwing inaccurate balls, right? And he's trying to force it. It's almost like he doesn't know that he's not the person that he was before, which is fine. That happens to all of us. But he's forcing the ball. That was triple coverage. Yeah. And if you look on that, it's a fade, and you can tell that it was already predetermined that it was going to Garrett.
It was.
But it was a fade to Davante Adams, and the guy that was on Davante Adams came off. And, I'd rather throw a ball instead of throwing it to triple coverage. I'd rather throw a one-on-one to my guy.
Yeah, and I think Breece might have been sitting underneath if he wanted the check down, which worked really well in the first half.
It was the inside fade. Why wouldn't you throw that up and give Davante a chance against their backup cornerback or something like that? Yep. So I don't know. I'm sure they'll look at the film and they'll say, hey, this or that. Let's see if Mike Williams is back. We know that's going to happen, and maybe he played his last game as a Jet. But I just don't know. His mechanics are off, and he's not as accurate as we used to seeing Aaron Rodgers be. And we've tried to explain it away and say, hey, guys are in the right spots that they're in, but maybe that's not the case.
Yeah, definitely not what we expected to see in Week 7 of the season. Let's head back out to Pittsburgh and hear from the interim head coach, Jeff Ulbrich. It's presented by Audi. Visit your Tri-State Audi dealer to get behind the wheel of yours today, or visit AudiOffers.com for more information.
Standpoint, ABT had the ankle, didn't return. TA had the hamstring, didn't return as well. X had the neck, went to the hospital, and thank the Lord, he is, the test came back negative. He's traveling back with the team. Huge relief in that. And then Ashton he got put in concussion protocol. That game, especially that second half, that's not who this team is. It's not good enough, and that starts with me and the coaching staff, and it goes down to every single player on this team. We can all give more, and we will give more. We have what we need. That is not who we are. Extremely disappointed.
Jeff, it's 15-6. You're marching down the middle of the field. Obviously, you're thinking to yourself, hey, we can get field goal range here, kind of take control of this game. You get that turnover interception, kind of leads to kind of the turnfall. They get a touchdown, and then 2 series later in the second half, you get another interception. Just talk about how that kind of changed the complexion of the game.
Yeah, going into this game, momentum we knew was going to be a big part of it, especially the environment we're playing in. And in these games, you can't give up those plays because it's just this huge shift in momentum. It's got to be an opportunity that we can grow from and become the team we're capable of becoming, because that is absolutely not good enough the way we reacted to the adversity.
Did you feel, just to follow on that, did you feel that they didn't fight?
No, I felt like guys were fighting. I felt like execution was not good enough. I felt like we went into the mode of trying too hard, and sometimes that's just as dangerous as not trying hard enough.
I know you said you didn't seem to be able to cover Pickens at all tonight. What did you see there? Were you just trying to find?
Yeah, the combination of him and Russ, it got the best of us. We need to play it better and also need to provide more schematic answers and more help in those times.
I know you say that this isn't who the team is.
Right.
I know you say you got to execute.
Yep.
I don't mean this disrespectfully, but we're not talking about 2-3 games.
I got you.
We're 7 games into the season. You guys are 2-5, and it seems like the same things are happening every single week. So at what point does this become that this is what this team is?
If we accept that, then the season is lost. So we're not going there at all. We have high character room. We have the pieces capable of getting it done. We're just every man in there, coach and player alike, got to point the finger at themselves. That's what we have to do. If you do that, you got a chance.
How do you think Aaron played tonight?
I thought he played well, and we'll get back to the tape and take a hard look at it. But I felt like he gave us enough to win that game.
Did you feel like you guys wore down defensively with the injuries and just in the second half?
Yeah, we didn't play to our standard, and we'll take a deep dive into the tape and we'll identify what happened. Exactly what happened.
You had some good movement in the first half of the offense, and in the second half, what happened?
Yeah, they had some adjustments that got the best of us. We didn't execute like we're capable of executing. Our playmakers didn't make the plays that they're capable of making. And we didn't collectively, players and coaches alike, we didn't get it done.
What did you see from Aaron and Davante in the first game together?
You could see the great synergy. You could see the relationship that they've had and the same page that they're on. And at the same time, it's been a second since they played together. So, as we go forward, I'd imagine that relationship and the production between those two is just going to go up.
One thing we really haven't seen much this year at all, whether it was Nate or now that it's Todd, is vertical plays. Like you guys really going 20-plus yards down the field. I mean, is there a reason for that? Is that just the way teams are playing you right now?
It's a little bit of both, absolutely. But we are, believe me, we are searching for explosives, understanding that they're a huge indicator for winning this game, and it loosens up coverage, and it does so many things for your run game. So we got to continue to look for the explosives and generate the explosives. And a lot of that is creating a consistent run game. When you do that, you get guys starting to bite, then it starts to come to life.
40 dropbacks and 15 runs. Is that the way you want to be?
No, it is not. We got to get our run game going. We got to run off the ball. We got to move people. We cannot have negative plays in the run game. You're behind the sticks, and then it allows obviously defenses to let the dogs go a little bit, and get after you. We didn't run the ball well enough. We didn't.
How do you evaluate Garrett tonight? And obviously, he had a couple of mistakes that were costly.
Well, we'll take a hard look at it. He made some exceptional plays as well, but we'll take a hard look at it.
Garrett Tucker isn't an Achilles, is it?
I'm not sure. They said ankle. That's all I know right now.
You guys went up 15-6. It felt like you were about to go into half feeling pretty good, and then the interception happened. How much of a turning point was that turnover?
It was big. Like I said, we just did not handle the momentum swings well enough, and we knew it was going to be a factor here, especially in this environment. So we have to do a better job with that.
A couple more. Any optimism just getting a pass rush, getting a Pro Bowl pass rusher back on Monday and throughout the week?
Yeah, of course that helps for sure. But we got a lot of things we got to fix right now.
Do you think maybe a little bit too much Adams since he's only been here a few days, and you said they hadn't been together while he started and played most of the game? Perhaps if you could do it over again, you would ease him in a little more?
We'll take a hard look at it. I don't know. I don't know that yet.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, that was interim head coach Jeff Ulbrich following the Jets' loss. And he said a few things. He said, this is not who this team is. They have what they need. This is not who they are. Their execution just wasn't good enough. And I'm pretty sure that was our SNY NFL insider, Connor Hughes, asking the question that it just hasn't been 2 or 3 games. You're now 7 games into the season, and it does seem like this is who they are. What did you make from what Ulbrich had to say there, Willie?
Tape don't lie. Bottom line,
yeah.
And Connor's 100% right. You put it. This is the body of work you've done thus far this season, and this is a redundant. The lack of depth on defense, the miscues on offense, the lack of momentum, the turnovers. This is who you are, and it's tough to swallow because you have such high expectations, right? You have Aaron Rodgers, you have everything going into the season that you want, and it's just not happening. So it's tough because I do have empathy for Jeff Ulbrich, right? Like, this is his first shot at being a head coach. And so now he's under fire with a team he's expected to turn around, and it's not happening. So, and by the way, when he got the job for being energetic, spirited, right? He's supposed to be now he's on the side looking like, man.
Happens quick.
Right. He's like, I don't know what to do right now. And of course he's not going to admit his team is tapping, because if he says that publicly, this guy's in the locker room, they're going to turn it off. So, and there's a lot of ball to play. So I think right now, man, it's just one of the things where you have to be very honest with yourself, who you are. This coaching staff is going to have to out-coach what they have to be ahead of their skis and do a better job. But players are going to play. And you turn on the tape, man, and Bart talks about it week after week. It's the lack of technique, the lack of understanding the schemes, and you're seeing guys, man, just open up wide gashing lanes for the running backs to come through. And it's ugly, man. But I feel bad for Ulbrich because he can't stop this. That's the bottom line.
Chelsea, to me, last year, my number one fear coming out of the season was, including Robert Saleh and everybody in this, is that they were a room when Aaron Rodgers came back to practice at the end of December that they said, he's going to come save us. And when you have that mentality going into a training camp and then a season, you start to kind of lean on, okay, he's going to carry us in these moments. And I think this Jets team right now is a building right now that's looking for Aaron Rodgers to save them. And he's come up short in some game-winning drive situations, and then tonight everything fell short. So the problem is when you do that, you lose sight of what you're supposed to do. And this is a Jets team right now that nobody is doing their job. And I know people hate that saying from New England, but the reality is they are not individually completing their assignments. Right, yeah. And when you start to, fall apart like that, you look at the guy in the room that's supposed to be godlike. And I think they've looked at Aaron Rodgers like that. And at 40 years old, maybe he's not that guy right now. It doesn't mean he's a bad player. Doesn't mean he doesn't deserve to start a quarterback. Doesn't mean he can't be an above-average starter. But I think people lost sight of their individual goals and accomplishments, and it's transpiring into this season. And that was a bad mindset to establish at the end of last year.
I mean, I think, Connor, I think you hit the nail right on the head. That's exactly what it is. It's looking like it's like when you don't have the guy that's supposed to be the savior, everybody else elevates.
Yes.
And it's like when you feel like you have the savior, everybody looks to him like, oh, what are we going to do? And he's expected to calm everybody else down. The problem is everybody else's play is dipped, and his play isn't what they thought it was going to be. So then that's what happens, right? So you talk about, they do have everything they need. Listen, they got more talent than anybody. We're sitting up here talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers, but on their fifth center. Yeah. So what are we talking about, right? And it just shows you also the difference in player development. Yes. Right? It shows you the difference that they can get the guy today who got 2 interceptions, Bishop, right? He can get 2 interceptions. Who's an absolute liability for every week. He draws the assignment of Garrett Wilson, right? He supposedly one of our top 2 or our best receiver, and he does the job, or he makes the plays when the play is there to present it, when it presents itself. So really, that's the issue, right? You can't say, okay, well, Hassan Reddick is going to come save us because now we got our guy. No, man, you got to stop that and hold yourself accountable and say, listen, this is the standard, and whoever's not doing that, listen, if you're a defensive lineman and you're in a rotation and the guy behind you ain't getting his job done, well, you better get your cardio up because you're going to have to play more snaps, right? That's just what it is, right? You have to start not allowing guys who are testing out bad, as grading out bad when you grade the tape, and give them opportunities. You got to shorten it. You got to shorten the rotation and say, I trust these guys, and these are the guys who are going to play. And if I'd rather go with a tired guy that's going to do his job and be technically sound than to go out with a guy that's going to go outlaw and just try and make a play and try and be a hero and do things wrong.
At the end of the day, you've got to execute because now it's week 7. Next thing you know, they're going to be in the bye week 12.
Did you see Kansas City? Kansas City had nobody today.
We've all seen it.
They just grind to wins week after week. After week.
Got to execute.
They had nobody.
When we come back, we will hear from Aaron Rodgers himself following the Jets' loss to the Steelers, as well as from Breece Hall. We'll be right back.
Jets Postgame Live is brought to you by the official digital transformation partner of the New York Jets, HCL Tech. Supercharging progress.
Welcome back to Jets Postgame Live. Tyler Conklin is standing by with Janae Coakley. It's presented by the official digital transformation partner of the New York Jets, HCL Tech, supercharging progress.
Tyler, we've seen flashes of what this offense can do. We'll start with your touchdown. What do you think it is you just can't do 4 quarters?
Yeah, I mean, I think we just keep finding ways to bite ourselves in the foot, right? Whether it's penalties or just things like that. Just having we do go on to 2 80-yard drives for touchdowns, and then you fall flat for whatever that is, and some of the other drives. I think a lot of it's just we got to just have a higher standard with how we prepare on a day basis, right? Like, obviously,
how do you do that?
Yeah, I think it just has to be a higher sense of concentration and urgency on just all the little things. I mean, the hard part about this is, we've been talking around this for the last couple losses, right? And it's like, it's enough. It's been enough talk about accountability, looking inward, doing all these things, and it's all stuff we got to do, but. Yeah, I think there really has to be a sense of urgency right now to dig ourselves out of this hole and, have a lot of, got to be detailed in just everything we do. You got to wake up in the morning and, decide, hey, who are you going to be as an individual, as a group when you come into the building every day, whether it's practice, walkthrough, game day, and, lock arms as a team and do this thing.
You talked about the hole you guys dug. You've lost 4 straight. What's the mentality of this team right now in that locker room?
Yeah, obviously this one. I mean, a 4-game losing streak is not something you want to deal with, right? Especially with the talent that we have on this team. But I think we all know that we can dig ourselves out of this thing, and I think we're just gonna have to lock arms and show each other and show everybody more that we can sit here and talk about it. But we have the team, we have the leaders, we have the coaches to get ourselves out of this hole. Obviously we got to go out there and we got to start digging ourselves out.
Thanks, Tyler.
Yeah, thank you.
That was Jets tight end Tyler Conklin saying that they have to be more detailed in everything that they do. Let's head back out to Pittsburgh and hear from Garrett Wilson.
So are you pressing a little bit because you're in that rock a little bit? Are you trying to maybe do too much? What's happening?
No, I'm just building a bad habit. Whether or not it has a result of catching the ball or dropping it, that can't be the point. Now I got to go do what I know I can do. I don't even know what's coming to that, but at the end of the day, it can't happen. And it's no, I'm not pressing. It's just not trusting what the hell I've been doing since I was a kid.
Garrett, I don't mean to sound like a broken record, man, but how do you prevent this from feeling like the season's slipping away at 2-5 when the same mistakes seem to keep happening over and over and over again?
Yeah, I mean, you got to go and have a good week of practice and win the next one, man. That's all you can do. This season ain't over. We still got a lot of everything out in front of us, and feel like we got everything we need here. It's time to go play on Sundays, on game day, whatever it may be like it, and it's time to win games. And at the end of the day, that's got to be it.
Did the Steelers change anything in the second half in terms of pass coverage? Because it just seemed like you guys weren't clicking as much in the second half.
No, they mix it up, a fair amount throughout the game. It's like a Rolodex of coverages, but they always play like that. And at the end of the day, they were opportunistic. We weren't. I wasn't with my opportunities, and it's I got to fix this. I got to fix it.
Does it add more to the overall frustration? I'm speaking of the offense in general, because you look around and you see how many talented players are on this offense.
Does it? Really what are you saying?
Does that even make it even more frustrating when you see so many talented players and not being able to win games?
I mean, at the end of the day, it's not a personnel problem. It's just I don't think it makes it more frustrating. I think it makes it we can go fix this. We got to go about stuff the right way. I wouldn't say it's more frustrating, but at the end of the day, everything. Like I said, everything's here, and it's still all in front of us. And at some point, if we want to get to where we want to go, we got to go on a run. So we got to do it now. you know.
Why haven't you been able to fix it? Why haven't you been able to do it so far?
The last one here.
You know, the way I see it, we were about to go down and score, and I dropped the ball, and then dude picks it off. You know, the way I see it, we were going to win the game if I ain't dropped the ball. So at the end of the day, if I can do what I was brought here to do what people expect me to do what I expect myself to do, you know, I feel like we win this game and it would have been started. So, you know, I put it on myself. We can do it, and we were going to do it. I let the guys down today. I let the team down, and it's that simple.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, Garrett Wilson saying that it's not a personnel problem, that they can fix this. Connor, what did you take away from what he had to say, and how do they fix this?
I mean, he's speaking for himself when that ball hit him in the shoulder pad and it bounces off and, you know, goes to the slot corner for an interception that turned the entire game. I think the reality is they fix it by, and Garrett Wilson always takes accountability. There's no denying that. But once again, it goes back to everybody doing things the right way. And right now, it just feels like everything's a little bit off. I mean, what else is he going to say in this moment? Garrett Wilson, unfortunately, has been here for some really, really tough years and some offenses that just cannot find consistency. And Rodgers was returning was supposed to be this great hope of, okay, we're going to get it right now, and it hasn't clicked out of the gate for them. And I think at the end of the day, they're looking around and going, no one else is coming, right? Like, this is it. And we're not getting new coaches. We're not getting different players. This is it right now. So this is on us that we're either going to fight out of this or we're going to continue to get rocked in the jaw and embarrassed, and this season's going to be over in 2 weeks. Because that's what the Jets are facing right now. And I know a lot of people are sitting watching tonight and thinking it's already over. You can go on a run in the NFL, and the AFC is not what it was supposed to be this year. But it starts now, and it starts against a bad New England team next week, and then it's going to get real tough against the Texans. So they know that the clock is ticking real quick.
But they just gave a boost to an AFC opponent that's going to be right there fighting for that wild card if they can't win the division.
Yeah.
It's like we said off air, it is getting late early. Yeah, they know it. They feel it.
Yeah, you know, it's tough, man, because when you look at this team, you talk about from a roster standpoint, there are some guys who are battling through just purely being old. Like Tyron Smith had a hard day today, right? And he looks like he's getting older.
A hard year.
He didn't give up a sack, though.
He did.
He's fighting.
Yes, he's fighting.
Yes, and I respect the hell out of him. My point is, when you don't have the production you need on offense and you don't have the run game and you're using everything you have, man, sometimes you just got to be honest with yourself. Right now, we said it week after week, the Jets don't have a bread and butter. There's nobody on this desk, and you guys are two brilliant football minds. I don't know what the hell the Jets do well.
They don't know. They don't know.
They don't know.
They have no idea.
And so we're talking going into New England, who we expect to win, beat, and then you got Houston. And then so my point, if we're going into week 8, how do we not know who we are by now, right? By some standpoint. Like, at least the Steelers, you say what you want. It was boots and waggles and dives. We laughed
They know who they are.
They know who they are.
Yes.
They have no problem of kicking 8 field goals to get out the building with a W. That's called an identity. So if you're Ulbrich and you're Todd Downing and company, you have to figure out, all right, what have we done in the last 6 or 7 weeks that we can go to war with and go to battle with? They don't have that answer, and we're seeing it time after time. So when we have the interceptions and you have the incontinuity, there's nothing to get us back on course. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right on.
We really lost to a game plan that was basically taken out of chapter 2 of Football for Dummies.
Yes.
Like, that's like, it's like, are you serious? This is the most simple game plan.
Man.
I said they're going to take shots with the moon ball. Like, so why? It's only one guy that can take moon shots too.
Bart, we called it out when he threw it.
So why don't you just have a safety and a guy over that guy, and then he ain't got nobody to throw it to. It's picked off. If it's picked off consistently, so you got a reception and like 2 pass interferences off the same. And then they start throwing it to the tight end. It's moonball. Like, bro, this is the game plan. Boots waggles, which is football 101. Let's try and marry up the run with the pass, the same action off of the pass. And it's like, man, I cannot believe. Like, it's like when you playing like Street Fighter and the guy come up and you just jump back 1 inch and you hit him with the sweep kick, and then you come back, you jump back and you kick him with a sweep kick. Like, how many times you gonna fall for the sweep kick, man? You walking right into it.
I've watched Jets football for 2.5 years straight with these guys, every single game. And Bart has called out a lot of plays in 2.5 years. Tonight was almost every single play. I kid you not, every single thing the Steelers were running, he had right in the pocket before it happened. And that just speaks everything. It says everything.
What a joy it is to have Bart on the show with us.
It makes it fun.
Isn't it great?
Yeah. You don't need to say that because I'm Bart.
Yeah, that's enough of that. Okay, when we come back, we will hear from Aaron Rodgers following the Jets' loss to the Steelers, as well as newly acquired wide receiver Davante Adams. We'll be right back.
Oh, God.
Let's head back out to Pittsburgh and hear from Aaron Rodgers. It's presented by the U.S. Virgin Islands. Visit the U.S. Virgin Islands where you will fall naturally in rhythm.
Questions? Aaron, at 15-6, when you guys are driving there, what happened on that pick there? What did you see there when you tried to get Aaron?
Yes, it was a bad throw. I should have just dumped underneath that play. For whatever reason, just changed the entire energy, changed the game.
Aaron, how do you, I guess it's a little bit of a big picture, but I can't imagine you imagine starting the season 2-5. And when you hear that record, considering the players you know that are in that locker room, what goes through your mind? How do you assess it? How do you process it?
Yes, it's been a rough stretch since we played so good on Thursday night. We've lost each of those 4 in different ways, but we got to figure it out. Obviously, we added 2 big-time players to the locker room. One's here, one's coming Monday. So, everything's still right in front of us. We got to somehow keep the belief in the locker room and start a run. You can't win 10 in a row unless you win the first one. So we got to be very critical of ourselves, each of us individually, tomorrow, and then come in with the right attitude all week and go to New England and get a win.
How do you get everybody to keep the belief in? It seems like a lot of the same mistakes.
Stop listening to you guys. Number 1. Number 2, got to be accountable. I got to play better. That's the key. I got to play better. We got to find a way to run the ball better so we can action pass. I thought did some nice things in the passing game. Breece obviously had a couple of really nice ones. Spread the ball around to Tay, G, and Allen. Mike had a nice conversion. But we got to run the ball better, and I got to play better.
How much by not listening to us? What do you mean by that specifically? Just in terms of reading the press clippings about being really good, is it something like that?
Yeah, all of it.
Even though you've had 8 years of history with Davante, is there still, did you feel like it was more of an acclimation period than maybe you thought, coming into the game?
No, I threw a wide one to him on the first one. He kind of stumbled on the deep cross. Other than that, I felt like we were on the same page.
When you felt the momentum switch there with that pick there, how difficult is it to get that back?
It shouldn't be that difficult. I just felt like the energy, and it starts with me, the energy, for whatever reason, at halftime was a little flat. I felt like it was flat before the game, too. Sunday Night Football. So I got to look at myself and what I can do to bring better energy, but we all got to do better.
What do you see in the run game right now? I think it was 15 attempts today. I don't know if that's a product.
It seemed that there was a lot of contact on our side of the ball, so I'm not sure if we were mistargeted or just not winning the one-on-ones. They have a stout D-line, but we did some really good things last week and just didn't carry over that momentum this week.
Ulbrich talked about you guys not handling adversity the way that you wanted to. What goes into handling it better?
What goes into handling adversity better? Just being a great competitor. There's going to be some ups and downs, some tough moments. You got to keep doing the little things. That's what it comes down to for us. We just don't do the little things well enough, consistently enough, myself included.
Garrett was pretty hard on himself when we were just talking to him about the pick that he dropped. Do you say anything to him, or what can you do?
I said I'm going to come back to you. He's a dynamic player. We need to target him. And obviously nobody feels sicker than him about that play, but he's a dynamic player.
When we were talking to Davante, he had made a comment that at times you look around the huddle and you see how much talent's there, and you're like, wow. Do you feel that because you guys know how much individual talent you have, that guys are relying too much on what the expectations or what you expect you can do instead of actually doing it in the moment?
I don't know. I hope not, but I don't know.
Aaron, you talk about adding Reddick and you added Adams. How do you take all that talent and make it into a team, not just not a talented roster?
Well, it's a belief. You gotta have
culture changers in the midst of the talent to steer things in the right direction. And there's a lot of us leaders that try and do that week to week, but it comes down to each individual making the right decisions during the week preparation and going out and playing as well as they can and trusting each other. I mean, I've been loving what the messaging that Bricks brought to us, and we had 3 great speakers last night at the team meeting, and the energy seemed really good, but for whatever reason today it just kind of seemed a little flat in warm-ups. I mean, Sunday Night Football on NBC, only show on TV. I live for these games, and I just don't quite understand why the energy was a little bit flat.
Your energy, Aaron? Your energy or the team's energy, or both?
Well, no, I love playing. I mean, I love competing. I just, for whatever reason, sometimes there's moments where you feel like the energy's great, the energy's kind of medium, the energy's a little mild or flat, and kind of felt it. You know, anytime that happens, you try and directly infuse like some energy and conversation to get things going. And then I felt like once we started the game, we had good energy, and then, you know, that shitty pick I threw kind of after that, I just felt like the energy just kind of dropped off for whatever reason.
You mentioned the speakers last night, outside speakers or people internal from the
guys on the team. Yeah.
Aaron, since you've been with the Jets, we've talked about recent history, and you kind of watched it last year so far. There's been a feeling here sometimes where the season starts getting away from this team, and it's here we go again. How do you avoid that? You guys have now dropped 4 in a row, 2-5. It feels like they're at a pretty critical point in the season.
Just got to win. Starting this week.
Thanks, everybody.
That was Aaron Rodgers following the Jets' 37-15 loss to the Steelers. And he said that the energy was a little flat at halftime. He thought it was flat coming into this game. But, Bart, for a team that's coming into Sunday Night Football, riding a 3-game losing streak, how do you not have high energy going into a game that you need to win?
See, I never agreed when somebody said that. Like, bro, speak for yourself. Like, I was pretty hype. I was good. Like, but you don't see this defense like running around, high-fiving. You know what I mean? It's so much pressure put on them because they know that they messed up. And like, even going forward, you got to run 8 out of 10. That's no easy feat because you got to get the first one first, and then maybe get New England. It could be just what the doctor ordered. But man, like, how can you not be crunk for Sunday Night Football?
Right.
Like, this is the second year in a row. I know the NFL schedule is like, yo, bro, we fell for it again. Like, it was not even compelling football. You know what I mean?
And fool me once, though.
Right. And they got to take accountability for that, man.
Yeah.
Like, this is when the leaders stand up. Like, I was always the energy guy, so it didn't matter. Like,
me too.
I was always happy because listen, I didn't think I was supposed to be in the NFL. You know what I mean? So I came in as D1 double undrafted free agent, so I was always crunk. Like, where's Quincy? Where's the hype guys? Where's the energy guys? You have when you first establish that role, and that's your role on the team, that's got to be it all the time. You can never waver. You got to bring that energy. I don't care if it's, listen, even at the end, when it was like 2-minute drill, Willie, some of the greatest knockouts that we've ever had. First of all, you remember the greatest knockout, right? Yeah. We was losing that game. That was 4-minute drill. I knocked Willie's fullback out cold. Hey, they had to go get him. Don't matter. I'm playing football. Somebody gonna die. If I can't win, somebody gonna get knocked out. And it's like they don't play with that energy and passion. Like, you can't be a front-running team. Like, what's happening is, I think, the pressures of expectations are getting to them. Because this is a team that came in with a lot of expectations, but they haven't had success. So it's tough, right? Like, when we came back the second year after we lost in the AFC Championship, we came back, we had expectations, but we had experience and we did something. They had expectations and they had a bad year. So it's hard because they don't know really what it takes, right? Because what happens is when you have those expectations, the teams that you playing look at you as like, man, you don't deserve the hype that you're getting, so they can't wait to go against you because they know, like, we'll get leveled up because now Monday night, tomorrow, everybody's going to come hollering at them, and they're going to say, hey, look at what the Steelers are doing. And the Steelers just use the Jets platform, have all eyes on them because the expectations to level up, to get attention, to put the spotlight on themselves.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest issue is 2 things. One, when you start off flat because you're losing belief. That's what happens, right? They talked about all the talkers. I remember I got to the Jets with Rex. Rex was probably the best. He should have got an Oscar as far as giving the night before a game speech. However, I noticed when we started losing, you fall on deaf ears, man, because they don't believe anymore. You can put on the theatrics. You can have anybody show up in front of your team. But when you start start to lose belief. When you show up to the game, there's that little seed of doubt that sinks in there, and you're like, man, here we go again. Here goes a turnover. So it starts looking repetitive because the last Sunday doesn't look different from this Sunday. So you start losing. And overall, man, as far as, when you talk about what this team is lacking, is last year this defense was getting interceptions. They're not creating the turnovers,
no
right?
takeaways.
The turnovers are winning, helping them win those 7 games. So when you don't have that and you don't have the pass rush and the offense is not performing well, this is when reality has to set in and be honest. What you're seeing on tape is who you are. And so we can continue to blame Aaron Rodgers. We continue to blame whatever. This defense has been underwhelming. This offense has been underwhelming. And right now, it's about them just understanding that right now it's starting at camp. And what they've done at camp is leaking. The lack of what they did in camp is leaking into the season. And I don't know if you can stop it. I honestly think it's too late. Be honest with you.
You learn a lot about teams when their backs are against the wall and when you're a desperate team, right? I mean, just in this city, we thought the Mets season was over in May, and the Mets' backs were against the wall, and they had a hell of a run that came up short in the NLCS. The Jets already, it's not even Halloween, their backs are against the wall. Guess what starts next week? The playoffs for the New York Jets.
Closer.
Because you gotta reel off 8 out of the next 10. There's no way around it. So that's going to be a real test of if they can't do that, well, then maybe there was something wrong with the actual not just culture, but the nucleus of this team. You're going to learn a lot about guys going forward individually and as a team.
And I think it's also unfair to expect Hassan Reddick to come in here and get 3 sacks and be an all-pro. Like, the guy's been on the bench. He's already had a multitude of things happen to him off the field. Like, he has to get in football shape. He has to get acclimated to playing football. So they're going to have to figure out, man, how can we get a semblance of what we did last year from a defense standpoint so we can get back on track and help this defense, this offense get the ball back and score touchdowns.
Yeah, and Rodgers said there has to be culture changers, and I think that's what it really does come down to for the Jets. It doesn't just start with the players. There are obviously bigger things that are happening. When we come back, we will hear from the newest Jet, Davante Adams, after his first game with the team, as well as Breece Hall. We'll be right back.
Jets postgame is brought to you by the New York Lottery. Please play responsibly. Must be 18 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. The Green and White Spotlight is presented by Ticketmaster. Get 100% verified tickets to every upcoming game at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Jets and the NFL.
And our spotlight is on Breece Hall. He had 12 carries for 38 rushing yards, 6 receptions for 103 receiving yards, and a touchdown. Those receiving yards the most this season for him. And now he's standing by with our Janae Coakley.
Breece, when you see flashes of what this offense can do, what do you think to make it more consistent?
Taking our layups. I feel like we just shoot ourselves in the foot sometimes with the easiest stuff. So there's no more time for, trying to make excuses. We just have to do what we got to do.
Let's talk about the positive. The 57-yard drive or catch and run for you. What was that like for you? What did you see? What did you see?
I knew I would have a lot of catch and run opportunities. I didn't think. I thought I was going to have a good matchup with the linebackers. I thought, I was going to be able to take advantage of it. And when I got the ball, I did. So, we just got to be better in the red zone. And once again, it just comes down to doing the little things right and taking our layups.
When you look at what this offense can be, is it more frustrating?
Yeah, it's very frustrating because we got up 15, 3 or whatever it was, and we turned the ball over at the end of the half, and we could have easily got 3 to 7, and then we come out and we don't score in the red zone and stuff like that, 3 and outs and stuff, and we still get to the red zone 2 times and don't come away with any points. So it's frustrating for sure.
What was the changes that they made, that Pittsburgh made second half?
Nothing really. They were doing the same thing. We just, like I said, we weren't taking our layups.
Where do you go from here?
Win.
Huh? I said, where do you go from here, this team?
Where? Win. That's the only place we can go. We got to win.
Gotcha. Thanks, Breece.
No problem.
This game recap is brought to you by Moody's, proud partner of the New York Jets. The Jets giving up 409 total yards to the Steelers, the most this season. Aaron Rodgers with 2 turnovers in this game, now up to 7 on the year.
Can we keep that graphic up?
You guys went up 15-6 and probably felt pretty good. And what do you think happened over the course of the rest of the game that kind of turned the tide there?
Just didn't execute, in the opportunities or in the moments that we had to, potentially put the ball in the end zone or finish a drive or, get 3, whatever it was. We just didn't execute, didn't finish, and that's been the underlying thing with kind of this team this year. And obviously just getting here, but hoping that I can do something to be able to change that.
Was there a little rust that maybe you didn't expect with you and Aaron that you need a little time to knock off?
I wouldn't say rust. I would say obviously we can continue to get on a better page, but first play of the game, it's football. It doesn't always work perfectly, but we had a really good week of practice, and we're going to continue to go and have a good week of practice next, this upcoming week, and see what we can do to turn it around.
It seemed like y'all had some chemistry going in the first half and then the second half. What did they do any adjustments to you or anything like that, the Steelers?
No, we just shot ourselves in the foot a couple times, man. Didn't finish a couple drives and then turn the ball over. Obviously, that hurts. And we spotted them some points a couple times. So if we can at least prevent that aspect, it'll make it easier on us.
Davante, there was a ball that went over your head pretty high from Aaron. I want to say early in the game. Was that not on the same page situation there? Or I can't remember exactly if it was second quarter or not. The first second quarter, kind of over the middle.
No, that was I kind of got tangled up with the DB. It was actually a perfect ball. It was more. It was perfect. The ball, it had nothing to do with it. If anything, it was the route and my aspect of it. But he put a great ball out there.
Ulbrich talked about you guys not handling adversity the way you wanted to. What do you need to do to handle it better as a team?
Dudes just gotta nut up and figure it out. That's what football is about. It's about you don't get 20 opportunities to make it right or even 2. So sometimes you just got to get out there and with the defense that's presented, you got to figure out a way to make it work. And we didn't do that enough. And we had no issues moving the ball. I felt like this was the ultimate shot ourselves in the foot type day. The person that was supposed to wreck the entire game didn't do that, and we went out there and
had a couple turnovers and, dropped a couple balls, and that's just not winning. That's not a recipe for winning. So we got to make sure we tighten up on that.
How much are you looking forward to getting back out there this week practicing, especially with all the weapons that you can see on this team?
Yeah, I'm fired up, man. I'm still. I mean, I'm in a bad mood, quote unquote, because we lost a game. So I mean, regardless, that's what it's gonna be like. But I'm still fired up about what this football team can do. It's a lot of talent. I mean, the offense that we got, the weapons that we have. I mean, when I'm in the huddle today, multiple times I'm just looking around, and it's kind of crazy. And then that's almost what pisses you off even more, knowing that you got those type of weapons and to come up short and to put up 15 points against a team that, I mean, obviously I don't want to take anything away from this team, but I feel like a lot of it had to do with what we did to ourselves versus, them going and forcing turnovers. It was something that we could have done about it for sure.
Do you feel that because do you feel do you have Davante as a difference maker you can be once you get rolling?
I mean, we rolling already, baby.
I mean, for you. I mean, just what
that's
in terms of making a difference.
Yeah, I mean, today could have been my day. It could have been, I'm ready to rock, now, and it's part of it. We got a lot of playmakers, so it's not easy calling a game and getting in there and saying, hey, we're going to give it to 17 every single play. We got a lot of guys that are capable of making plays and did make plays today. It's just didn't happen consistently.
Do you?
That was Davante Adams after his first game as a New York Jet, saying that it just came down to a lack of execution. When we come back, we will look ahead and see if the Jets can execute and snap their 4-game losing streak when they take on the Patriots. We'll be right back.
Jets Postgame Live is brought to you by Selective Insurance. Be uniquely insured.
The Jets' upcoming schedule is presented by JetBlue, the official airline of the New York Jets. Next week, they head up to Foxborough, Massachusetts to take on the Patriots. Then they host the Texans, and then they will visit the Cardinals, and then they will see the Colts. That's their next 4 games coming up. Guys, Bart, coming to you, what do you need to see from this defense for them to get back in this thing?
Some fight. Some fight, some physicality, getting beat on the. I mean, if I'm the defense, I'm gonna play pissed off. Like at this point, it's like I'm getting embarrassed, and my family is saying what's going on. Everybody, when you have this super team, get Davante Adams, everybody calling y'all like, man, y'all gonna get it together every week. You're like, yeah, we gonna get together, and you still losing it. At some point, you got to hold each other accountable. And like I said, man, if you got to shorten this roster and say, hey, I'd rather put it on 11 guys instead of a 14 or 15 man rotation. Now listen, I know they lost Chuck Clark, lost Ashton Davis. But listen, everybody in the league, the Texans went out and they had 5 starters down. Listen, that's the NFL. That's why it's important to develop the players in front of the roster and behind the roster, because at some point you're going to need all 53 or 56 or however many there is now. And listen, nobody's going to come and say, like, how many more trades do you think you want to get? How many more all-star players do you think you get? Like, I mean, come on, man. At this point, it's time to either show up or shut up.
Yeah, I don't know what to say, honestly. I wish I could say and have something quirky. And
I've been making excuses for this team nationally all year.
Like, it's
They're going to laugh at me when I got to go get up.
I said this earlier, man. Like, I listen to sports talk radio and I've been watching all week, and I thought some of the criticism has been like overly harsh. Like, it seems like people genuinely hate the Jets. And then you put a performance like this on Sunday, you're like, well,
you lost to Sierra's husband, bro.
And so I don't know, man. I think the biggest thing for me, considering I've been in this situation before, is the elders of the locker room have to figure out how to keep this locker room together, because I'm going to tell you what happens. Guys start getting late meetings. Guys start to revolt against the coaches. People start the attention to detail is probably, it is what it is now, but it starts to loosen up more and more. And so you're talking about a team there's a lot behind the curtain that has to stay together. So hopefully the Aaron Rodgers, the Tyron Smiths, the Davante Adams, they understand, the C.J. Mosley's like, hey, it's ugly. This is who we are, but we got to stay together. And it's hard, man, because for a lot of young guys in this locker room, they're only seeing the results, and they don't understand there's a lot of season left.
In the process.
It's a process. It's a privilege to play in this league, and even though things are bad, you still got to count your blessings that you're in this league and playing at a high level and a professional level at the NFL. So it's tough, but I really don't have any answers, man.
Bro, we talking like it's week 13.
Isn't it wild?
Like, man, we ain't even got the Halloween yet, man.
Because when you put up the schedule, I mean, New England, bye. Right? Hopefully we win that one. Let's just throw that out there. Then you got the Texans, and then you got the Cardinals, who are scrappy damn good. And then, let's just say if Anthony Richardson blows another hit, hurt the other hip.
Please don't. I don't want
Flacco. You got the boogeyman Flacco, a.k.a. the boogeyman. So, yeah, you don't want to talk about the Jets as this is it, but at some point you're like, man, when does the light come on? Like, when does I don't know.
It has to start.
Like, I don't know.
It has to start Sunday.
Yeah. So.
And for the Jets, like, the reality is, if you want to look at any glass half full scenario, you have to win Sunday against New England, a team you should beat. And then you have a quick week turnaround, which hopefully can spring you some momentum against a team that a lot of people will not pick you to beat in the Houston Texans. And yes, the Jets beat up on them last year. That's a long ways away. Correct. So that you got to use those 4 days, 2 games in 4 days, to find a way to get back to 4-5. And then you start seeing a little glimmer at the end of the tunnel. But until they do that, how can you sit here and expect it at this point? Yeah. They got to do it.
Yeah. Maybe they just miss Steve Gelbs. He'll be back next week.
Yeah, well,
maybe he's a good luck charm. I don't know, guys.
You the mush?
I don't know.
That's what I'm hearing.
You should be rooting against the Jets on Sunday. Because, man, if they get hot
I want to see these guys bounce back, and we will see if they do next week. That'll do it for us on Jets Postgame Live. The Jets falling to 2-5 on the season by a score of 37-15 to the Steelers. We will see you next week when they take on the Patriots. Steve Gelbs will be here. Get excited, guys.